Good morning, everyone. So, um, I want to do an update. When I had made the video of the coroner, um, and I talked about all her dilemma in her life, but I said that it made me cry, and I want to clear that up. So I want to explain. So she's educated. She was head of ER as a doctor, and she had all these things she was going through. Husband died of an aneurysm. He spent all their money. He spent their mortgage money. He didn't pay his bills. He left her nothing, you know, a house foreclosing and all kinds of things. And what made me cry about it was that she's one person handling all this stuff. And she has a child too. And, and then he has his own dilemmas. But I understand um, because one day you have it all and the next day you have nothing. And sometimes we go through life and we don't even know things are going on because sometimes in some families, one person takes care of all the money. That's another thing I have a problem with. I've taught both my kids. You need to know where your money goes. You each have your own bank account and you have one account for the bills. And I think that's fair when you're married. But with the point I think that I'm making here is that it doesn't matter if we're educated or not educated. Um, Problems happen to everyone in all life, all different walks of life, all different scenarios. And then usually, you come down to either addiction, coping skills, things like that. I mean, I've had my own coping skills, but in the past, when I'm angry, I just see and I normally don't look back. But in some cases, I have looked back. Sometimes I've even gone back repeatedly because I think it's going to change or it's going to get better. I made a video of Mr. Trump. I pulled it because I thought he'd change and he didn't. I do understand what he's trying to do. He is trying to pull down that um, our debt because we're in trillions of owing. But I don't think cutting programs that are necessary to feed people are the way to do it. That's not. We don't go after the poor or the people in need. I have a lot of friends who had great careers who are barely making it. They're getting over $3,000 in Social Security a month, but they can't afford food. So you tell me, you want to, he wants to attack our Social Security system. Why don't you start helping them? I mean, one of my friends was a psychiatric nurse. She has asthma and all kinds of things. Her medicine costs her so much money. It's either eat or die. She chooses to live, and she lives the best way she can. Like her, like me, probably half of America's parents are now living with their kids, helping them out, and they help us out too. We're eating, and we're trying to do other things to help. Like we help. Like for me, I babysit, I take care of things. I go to school full time. I have a YouTube channel. I'm working on my art. I'm not sitting around eating bonbons. I actually have responsibilities on top of everything else. My girl in there, she crochets. Um, she finds all kinds of ways to make things. She's always come up with new ideas. She's always doing projects, but she also donates a lot of things that she makes. And we do a lot of giving in the public. If we see something that they need, boom, we go get it. Half the time, my daughter shows right up to him. She'll say, "What size sock are you?" And she goes and buys them socks. I mean, she just knows. I don't know how she knows. She does. I'm like, that's just fascinating. I've never seen like it. For me, if they need a coat, right place, right time. I go get them a coat. You know, I mean, just one person can make a difference. But if mass people do it, you know how you go through the drive-through, one person pays for the person behind them, and then they just continue that strand. Why can't you do that for a homeless person on the street or someone in need? You know, it's a shame. So When Mr. Trump, when he takes away Social Security, food stamps, and all these programs for these people, how can we, as the public, help them, the ones that are now in need? Those are the questions we need to be asking ourselves. Like, how can we make this work? What steps can we do as a community to help those people in our community? It's sad it's coming to this, but it's looking like that. And when my daughter talked to me about that Project 25, I'm going to read that just because I need to know what's going on. I mean, that girl was trying to tell everybody, and here we are looking at it. She was right. But I'm going to get a hold of that project and I'm going to read it for myself. We all need to be reading it so we're aware of what's going on. I'm touching a lot of different subjects here because it's important. You know, we have to start thinking for ourselves and figure out what we're going to be doing. Um, we can't feed everybody, but in our communities, we can help the most vulnerable, which are your seniors who are home waiting for that meal to come to that door. We make extra food all the time. I can't tell you how many times that we've distributed through our neighbors, or to our neighbors, I should say, who really needed it. Some of them were young, you know, but they're working just to pay their bills, but they couldn't afford food. Well, this is the norm now. These things need to be addressed. It's a real shame. When she applied for food stamps, um, she's senior. They gave her $14, even though they know all the medical she pays out of her own pocket for her prescriptions. But because of her base pay, didn't matter because she's one person. I think there should be stipulations for seniors, especially ones who have actually their served. She was a psych nurse. She served her community, and not only in one state but in three. And her husband too. He was a psychologist. He's with people all the time. He died. They bought a home up in the mountains um, in California, and he passed away. She went to work and came home. He was at the bottom of the ladder, dead. He had died. Heart attack, they said. Um, but left her with that big old house. She didn't know what she was going to do with it. Eventually, she sold it and then distributed it all amongst her kids because that was in the will. So where does that leave, her again? I had a friend. He was military. He never applied for food stamps. He lived on bologna, boxes of cereal, milk, pudding you liked it in the cup, um, and cigarettes. That's all he could afford. I didn't even know he didn't really have his medicine out. He stashed that, but he had wore a urine bag. I don't know the name of it. All his supplies would be out, scattered. He always had bleach. He always had vinegar and stuff like that. So I went and bought him a big shelf to organize his stuff so he could see what he had and he wouldn't keep buying extras of. But it's pretty private. I was surprised he took it because I didn't think he was going to. And then I would bring him like extra cartons of cigarettes. I'd give him money. Um, he gave me money. It was really strange. At certain times, if I needed it, he gave it to me. And then when he needed it, Father gave it back. I was always helping him in some way. Same with my friend. Um, there's a few people I've helped throughout the years, and they were seniors. They were 10 to 20 years older than me. I have done my part, and I'll continue to do it as long as I'm living. Um, so in class, I want to talk about this a little bit too. Some of the research that we're using is old and outdated. We really need new research, especially with autism on the rise, food shortages, and all those other things, and learning disabilities. Environment is huge when it comes to children, and these are some of the things that we need to be looking at for future events. But I I just want to, you know, clear up some things. That's all. But I removed Mr. Trump. But child support, if he did the resources to collect child support, it's billions of dollars that are owed for back child support. There would be less people in the system, and I proved it. It's called. Let me pause for a moment. The name of the video I made is "Oppressed Women and Their Children." I'll put a link in this video. Not because it's wrong word. Even in Canada, billions of dollars are owed in back child support, and the government keep bailing out people who owe back child support. Why isn't there more being done on that? If they would collect that money, we'd be a lot richer, and so would they. So keep that in mind when you don't want to pay your child support. Peace. God bless.